Hello, everyone. Anyone who's listening to this. I feel like I've been through this before, but I don't give a darn if I have. I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. You see, have you ever heard of Groundhog Day, the movie? Well, what if it was not a day, but actually a lifespan? Whether it be animal or human, but it would be the same time frame over and over again and again. And it would be through reincarnation. They'd be a living, walking, talking reset button. You see, when they die, they come back as themselves or someone else. Mostly themselves, if that's themselves at all. From day one when they are born, that is. And in some occasions they would be animal or other being or whatever. But it would still be the same time frame. Over and over, again and again. And yet how would they know that it stayed at the same time frame? There might have been a way or a time when they didn't remember completely. Or at least they're stuck in this reincarnated stage where they can't just move on or whatever. Well, they can't just stop being the reset button and start being them. Just keep going. And if they were to reincarnate, they would have to reincarnate forward, not go backward. Again and again, over and over and over. Of course, there could be many things that can cause this. I'm just going to say them. Don't give a darn what other people think, except I do want your opinion. You can ask questions if you want. There could be many things that could start this. For instance, an accident or some deal gone wrong or a wish or something, anything that's powerful enough or at least strong enough to make this happen. Or punishment or a curse or something like a gift or whatever. It doesn't completely matter. You see, the beginning has been happening over and over and over again and again for this individual. Hypothetically. Makes you wonder about the story this being has and why they keep doing this. There was one time I thought that if this actually happened, it was this being's job to make new dimensions, because let's face it, new scenarios throughout new stories, if like timeline sort of thing, makes new dimensions. You've all seen the Avengers Endgame and all that stuff, you know? Think about it. You can make new dimensions by changing the timeline or something, you know, something completely different happens. Interesting, huh? You just go back in time, take something or do something, and there's a new dimension. Because of new scenarios happened and because things and events changed. People change people. People affect people. In more ways than one. In a multitude of ways, they change things. We are affected by each other and ourselves. I don't want to go too in depth. But let's get back to this reincarnation thing. There is a question that I've been wondering. You know, the Mandela effect. I don't know if you believe it or not. I'm trying not to believe it. It's just so apparent. There's two of them now. There's been two of them. But I think there also has been a third. But why? What is someone trying to change? What are they trying to do if this is possible? When you think about it, it's kind of interesting. Makes you wonder if they're trying to find that individual trying to find that person who's doing the resetting, becoming a reset button. And you have to ask yourself, why would they want to find them? Well, because they're basically resetting things over and over again. And sooner or later, there's going to be more than this individual that's going to notice. There's going to be someone or something, or more than one being or one person or one something. They're going to get smart. They're going to wise up. They're going to recognize. They're going to have deja vu right along with this individual. And they're going to be others. It's going to be weird. You see, if this person was able to do this, but not on purpose, not by his own will or by her own will, it's actually kind of like a punishment and a gift. Because it's both a hell and a heaven. For instance, if this person remembers somehow, by some way, or has a feeling of this, if they remember of all those they loved in their past lives or reincarnations, every individual, or had a feeling that they need to mourn on a certain day or a certain date, or just knew something. They knew that the person they cared about died. And it can't just be one being or one person that they loved. It has to be others, whether it's family or friends or a lover. And it doesn't matter what type of lover or what kind, what gender or what species. Because they were once that species. Makes you wonder if it all started with animal and then led on to human. Those reincarnations. If this individual remembers something, just had a feeling or just a notion or something, kind of like a compass, going to the direction. If they want to get out into the world and see it, don't give a darn how it plays out. Doesn't want to be in one place. Well, I can see that. I can see how they'd want to do that. Because their reincarnation might happen in that same place over and over and over again and again. That one spot, that one town or city or forest or desert or whatever. And they want to leave because so many memories, too many memories are coming back, including the ones of their current life or their past lives. And it can be overwhelming. I reckon it can drive anyone mad. It can drive them to the brink, to the edge, and they probably couldn't care less, because eventually they knew they'd die, and it would restart over again. And they'd forget, probably. As people would say, babies don't completely remember their past lives. There are individuals that might. But in any case, when you think about it, I guess it's sometimes better to be forgetting the bad. Especially when there's too much of it. Way too much of it. The reason why I'm not showing my face is because I'm not decent right now. I'm not exactly wearing that much. Sorry, you just had to know that. Anyways, I just wanted you to know this hypothetical. I just also wanted to get this off my chest, this theory, if I want to call it that. The world is changing, but it's always been changing. It's not going to stop changing, no matter what we think or say or do. When you think about it, the whole human species is a control freak. as a whole species. But individually, yeah, that's amped up a little bit. Because so much is out of our control. But why would we want to grab a hold of something and control it, tame it, or do anything with it that goes against everything that nature and the universe and everything else stands for? I mean, come on, why not go with the flow? This may be stupid of me to say this or crazy enough, but there's a lot of people out there that just know what that means. Go with the flow, not give a darn. To stay positive and just keep on going. A river doesn't stop that easily, nor does the ocean stop moving its currents. Not so easily. So why shouldn't we? Why should we stop? We can keep flowing and going. The positive is there. You just gotta look for it. You just gotta keep going, keep moving forward. And it all starts with one step. That step in the form of words, of 3 words. Well, at least this, or at least that. Well, at least I'm okay, at least I'm not dead, at least I got my health, well, at least I am here. Those words will help you get through the day, believe me. Because the what ifs, when you're in a bad time and space, an area, the what ifs will destroy you eventually if you don't know how to handle them properly. So don't start with what ifs. Start with, well, at least, start with those 3 words. Well, at least. It'll help you find the positive. You just gotta look for it. Like, literally look for it. Or, in some cases, symbolically or metaphorically or whatever. You just gotta check yourself. Not just the bad, but the good. Kind of like checking yourself over. You don't need a mirror for doing that. You gotta just use your hands and see, well, I'm okay. All right. I'm fine. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm free. I'm good. Kind of like checking if you had wounds. Wounds. Sorry for leaving out certain words or leaving out certain letters in those words. Anyways, I've been told multiple times in my lifetime, the eyes are the windows to the soul, or something like that. And if that's true, then there's a reason we cry. Because the soul does need to heal, and in some cases, in order to heal, you have to bleed a little bit. It's kind of like what we do with a horse, bloodletting or something like that, They take a needle or something and they let out a few gallons of blood from the horse, and it helps them. People think that it helps them sometimes, and it might not. In the case of a soul, it's similar. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when our soul bleeds, it's not in red. Because there's a reason why we cry. When we shed tears, that is our soul's blood. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul. Our body is the house that our soul lives in. Sometimes we just gotta heal. You just can't give up. You can't give in so easily. You just can't. Giving up so easily is like saying you don't want to live, when you should or can be saying, I have the right to live and keep going. I am worthy to be on this earth and I am worth fighting for, and I am worth more than I can give, and I will be danged if I ever give up. The human race can be summed up in one word: relentless. Relentless. That is so much the truth, because we are relentless in so many ways. We're stubborn, we're curious, we see something and we try to go for it so much. We don't take that much no for an answer. It's crazy. It's a good and bad quality. I see the good and bad side of it. But I have to see the good side of it. I like seeing that good side of it. Because when you're relentless, you don't give up so easily. You keep pushing forward. You keep moving forward. You keep keeping on. And you don't stop for anything or anyone. Well, except, of course, for those that need to be reminded that they are relentless, that they are human, that they need to get back up so that they can stand next to their brothers, their sisters, their families, their friends, their lovers. You just can't give up. You're not meant to give up. Life knocks you down for a reason. It's giving you a challenge. It's calling you out saying, I just did this. What are you going to do about it? I knocked you down. I made your life miserable. What are you going to do about it? Now, if I am correct, the right response to this challenge would be, if you're human enough, that is, if you're capable enough, the response would be, challenge accepted, or bring it on, or a shout out saying, I am not meant to be defeated or beaten. And you have no way or say in it. You can knock me down over and over again. Well, good. I need an actual challenge or a reason to keep going. Bring it on. Let's see what you got. Pour it on. I need all I can get and all I can take. Because people, you can kick butt. Just not in a big and loud sense. There are smaller ways. Life gives you challenges for very good reasons. How else are you supposed to get tough enough to live in this world? You have to be crazy in order to live on this planet anyways. Which is good. We're all crazy, and that's great. We're all different. There's no such thing as normal. It's not meant to be normal, which is wonderful. And perfect, the word perfect doesn't exist for a very good reason. Because imperfection, well, like someone once said, imperfection, I can't completely remember what she said, but I know what I'm going to say. You do not cast aside wise words so easily. You have to recognize wisdom when you hear it or see it. And I've noticed so much, and I'm glad for it. Imperfection is good. Not everything has to be perfect. In fact, perfect doesn't exist at all. It shouldn't. It doesn't need to. Those who hold on to these two things, these two words, these two state of minds, this way of thinking, they fail because life will eventually prove them wrong. It gives its own version of tough love. Mother Nature or religious types or anything or anyone that's in this world will eventually try to give you a challenge. You may not recognize it at first, but you might want to try to catch it before it leaves you. Take up the challenge. Take up arms. This is me signing off. Oh, before I go, I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful any day, and a wonderful any year. Have peace in yourself first in order to share peace with others. In order to give peace, you have to know what peace is. In order to recognize war, you have to recognize what war is. These are the things we need to know about. We have our own battles, whether outside or inside ourselves. So don't give up so easily. You're the human race, dang it. You're meant to be relentless. Flex by showing that you can give a dang. That you can keep going. And that you can help others move forward right alongside you. United we stand, divided we fall. And yes, not all of us are born in this world alone. I mean, come on. There's a reason why we need diversity. And for those of you who are racist types, ask yourself this. Why are there different types of people? Shapes, sizes, and yes, skin complexion, stuff like that. So ask yourself, why are there? Because if you haven't asked that question, then you're not going to get anywhere with anything. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to answer it for you since you can't be capable of answering it. The reason why there are so many different individuals, so many types, so many different ways, so many beings, so many stuff, so many different people that look outside differently, is because there has to be diversity. Without diversity, there's no way of moving forward. There's nothing. There's no fun. I mean, you have to argue, you have to wonder why there are individuals out there that look the way they look. Don't go against it. Try to figure out, try to ask questions, try to see why. And then you'll figure out eventually, hopefully if you're smart enough. But I doubt that you could even ask those questions. Hopefully eventually you'll figure it out. There's a reason. There's always a reason for something and everything. And don't use an excuse like say, oh, they're just here, or oh, they're just them, or something like that. That's just a stupid, lame excuse. Aren't you curious? You're human race, for crying out loud. Be curious. Try to figure out why. Ask questions. Try to figure out what the beginning is and where it is and how it started. Because when you think about it, it didn't begin here in the United States. The human race, that is. Most of it began in that general area. Whether scientists say it or religious types, the majority of religion types say it. In that general area of, well, I'm not going to say it. I don't want to offend people, because I'm not supposed to. And then again, if I were to move to Australia, I would be, wow, these are my people. Even though I was terrified of going there, or I'm still scared of going there, because I thought that place was made out of teeth, fang, claw, and the rivers were basically made out of venom. Or at least that's what my thought was a while back. Still here. But listen, don't ever judge a book by its cover. Don't assume too much. In fact, don't assume at all. And if you're going to assume, announce it. Just say, I'm assuming. Because people are going to assume right back at you if they don't know the whole details or the whole story or the whole picture or anything what you're trying to tell them or what you're trying to guess about them. You can get confusing real quick if you assume too much. And when you assume, they assume. Yeah, I know. It's confusing right here and right now. Deal with it. Anyways, the worst type of plague or infection ever to mankind in the human world that we were ever given, the worst curse. It's fear. Yes, people would say it would be our. It's a good thing, People would say fear is good or fear is bad, but think of it as a frenemy. It can be both your enemy and your friend in some, you know, scenarios, different scenarios. You just gotta catch yourself before you wreck yourself. So sometimes you gotta picture. I gotta ask you something. Can you picture yourself getting ready to trust fall with yourself, Try to use your mind's eye. You're doing a trust fall with yourself. You're falling and then you catch yourself, like in any ordinary trust fall or whatever. That's how I am able to sometimes catch myself before I make a mistake or do something bad. That's how I trust myself enough to do something. Sometimes you just have to sit or walk or do something that can help you think. And yes, it would be gracious and great if you could do a deep thinking session. A deep thinking session. You have to ask questions. Why not ask questions? And not just about your work or your daily life. Try to ask abnormal questions, questions that you never thought of, questions that you normally wouldn't ask, Why not think about them, And then balance them out. As if you were one of those balancing things. I'm wondering if this is accurate. Ladle, if that's the name for it. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm going to have to see for myself. But anyways, the world is full of questions that are unanswered. It's just that not that many people ask them. And therefore, there's not many answers given. If you don't ask a question, how will you know the answer? And if you don't get the answer, how will you learn or at least know another question? You gotta learn in order to live, and you gotta live in order to love and laugh and survive or do anything. And you gotta live in order to learn. Because if we don't learn, how can we live or survive or thrive or anything? From day one, that is our purpose. To learn, to laugh, to live and love, and to just have fun. Because it's better to have fun and learn at the same time. Just as much as having fun on the job, just working and having, all work and all play, just don't be a downer on it. Just try to spice it up. Go for it, go on. And yes, you probably heard this same song over and over again, but seriously, it works. You can't just live in the gray. And yes, the world is black and white and gray. That's B 1, 2, and 3. A, B, and C. There has to be balance. There's always a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's always the left, the right, and the forward. And yes, backward, but you get my point, hopefully. In a family where there's 3 children, there's the firstborn, there's the middle child, and then there's the baby child, that sort of one. But what's wrong with being the middle child? I was sort of like a middle child. I am still kind of like a middle child. It's details. You don't need to know about that. Anyways, being in the middle is not bad. Being the middle is not bad because you can be the one to weigh options. You got two hands. Use them to weigh your options, or you can just do it in your head. Options, options, options. Options are great, and choices are amazing when you have multiple of them. You can choose. It's like a buffet of chances and wonders and things. It's just great. Anyways, gotta go. Thank you. Talk to you later.